Okay, so this is an example exam, guys, so just see if you can work through it, see if you can pause the video and try the question yourself, and then have a look at the solutions. I've got a calculator next to me as well, and sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, so just forgive me if I make any mistakes or if I don't speak too clearly or anything like that. So it says here this is a speed versus time diagram, and the diagram shows the speed time graph of a car. It travels at 28 meters per second for 20 seconds and decelerates until it stops after a further 10 seconds. Calculate the deceleration of the car. Okay, so if we have a look over here, so the deceleration of the car, just want to see if there's anything beneath here. Okay, calculate the distance. Alright, so number A. So this car, so for the first 20 seconds you can see the acceleration is 0, the speed is not changing. So the only time that the car starts decelerating is from the 20 seconds until the 30 seconds. So we should know that for speed versus time diagram, basically the gradient is equal to the acceleration. Okay, so the gradient is equal to the acceleration. So if we want to get the deceleration or acceleration, okay, deceleration in this case, basically over this time period from 20 to 30 seconds, we just need to know what the basically the end points are of the starting time and the ending time. So this over here, this is 20 and 28, that's that point, and this is 30 and 0. So if you want to get the deceleration of the car between these 2 points, all we do is get the gradient between these 2 points. So the gradient is equal to m is equal to y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So y1 we can take as 0, so 0 minus 28 is negative 28 over 30 minus 20. Sorry, negative 28 over 10, which is equal to negative 2.8. So the deceleration is 2.8 meters per second squared. The distance traveled during the 30 seconds, so the distance for a speed versus time graph is equal to the area under the graph. So this area under the graph will give us this distance. So what we need to do is to break up this area into shapes that we can get the area of. So for example, if we draw a line like this, we can see that we've broken up the area under the graph into a rectangle and a triangle. So we need to find the area of the rectangle and the area of the triangle, add these two areas together, and that will give us the distance traveled by the car over the 30 seconds. So this area over here, we can see it is from 0 to 20, so this is going to be the breadth of the rectangle, which is 20, and 0 to 28, that is a length of 28. So the area of this rectangle is 28 times 20, which is 560, and this is in meters. The area of this triangle from 20 to 30, that's a difference of 10, and from 0 to 28, that's 28. So the area of a triangle is half base times height, so we're going to say half times 10 times 28, and that's going to give us 140 meters. So therefore the total distance traveled by the car over the 30 seconds is 560 meters plus 140 meters. And basically you'll have to show this working out in this area provided, so you won't write it up here, that's just for the video's sake, but you'll show that all down here. So 700 meters is how far the car travels in 30 seconds. Okay, number 19, t varies inversely as the square root of u. So inversely proportional, t is proportional to 1 over, it is inversely proportional to the square root of u. The square root of u. So if we made an equation, it would be t is equal to k over what is inversely proportional to, which is u. Now we use this information given over here, t equals 3 when u equals 4, to solve for k, the unknown. So we substitute these in. U is equal to 4 when t is 3, so t is 3 when u is 4. which is 3 is equal to k over 2. Therefore, k is equal to 6. So now that we know what k is, we can rewrite our equation over here as t is equal to 6 over the square root of u. So find t when u is 49. So t is equal to 6 over the square root of 49, which is 6 over 7. That is what t is equal to. Okay, next question. So, okay, so number 17, let's have a look at that. So number 17 says find the equation of line passing through 0 and -1 and 3 and 5. So if we'd imagine that we had these points, 0 and -1, we imagine we had 3 and 5, and we want to get the equation of the line passing through these points. So imagine there's a line going through them, or joining these points together. It's a bit skew, but it's okay. So the equation of a straight line is y is equal to mx plus c, where m represents the gradient and c represents the y-intercept, okay, or where it hits the y-axis. So what we can do is, the best thing to start off is to get the gradient of this line, and the gradient of a line is equal to y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. And that's going to be equal to, let's take y1 as 5 and y2 as -1. That's going to be 5 minus 1 over 3 minus 0. Which gives us 2. The second step that we can do is to find out c. So we know m is 2, so y is equal to 2x plus c is what we have at the moment. So to find out what c is, we just take one of these 2 points, substitute it into this equation, and solve for c. So let's take 3 and 5. When y is 5, x is 3. So when y is 5, x is 3. So that's 5 is equal to 6 plus c. So c, if we take the 6 to the left hand side, c will be equal to -1. So therefore our final equation is equal to y is equal to mx. So we know m is 2x, plus c, which we know is -1. And that's our equation. Bruce invested $420 at a rate of 4% per year compound interest. So the formula for compound interest is a is equal to p 1 plus r over 100 to the power of n. So calculate the term amount Bruce has after 2 years, give your answer to correct to 2 decimal places. So in compound interest, remember this equation or this formula will give you the total amount he has after the 2 years. So we don't have to do anything except put the values into this formula. So invest 420. So P represents the amount he's putting into the bank. So 420 times 1 plus R is the interest rate. He's getting 4% per year. So it's 4 over 100. And N is the time period he leaves this value or money in the bank. He leaves it in for 2 years. So it's 2. So it's 420 times 1.04 squared. And let me just work out my calculator what this is. 0.14 squared times 420, 454.272, and we have to give it to 2 decimal places, so 454.27 is the value. Number 11. So whenever we see indices, you can see it's 27x to the 12, 1/3. All we need to do is take the value on the outside of the bracket and multiply it with the exponents on the inside. But we see 27. 27 is to the power of 1 over here. But in indices, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to rewrite this value in a number that has an exponent. So 27 can be written with base of 3. In other words, 27 is 3 to the power of 3. X to the 12 we'll keep, and it's the power of 1/3. So all we do now is take this value and multiply it with the exponents on the inside. So 3 times 1/3 is 1, so this is going to become 3 to the 1, and 12 times 1/3 is 4, so this is going to be 3x4. Next one, an equilateral triangle has sides of length 16.1 centimeters correct to the nearest millimeter. Find the lower and upper bounds of the perimeter of the triangle. So an equilateral triangle, it says it's got sides of 16.1, 16.1, 16.1, and it was run correct to the nearest millimeter. So what we're going to have to do is we have to find the lowest possible value for each of these sides can be, and the highest possible value that each of these sides can be, then add them all up to get the lower bound and upper bound of the perimeter. For example, the lowest value that we can think of, that if we're running to the nearest millimeter, that the value we could have is 16.05 centimeters. Because basically if you had to run it to the nearest millimeter, you would round this up to 16.1. So the lowest possible value for the sides for this equilateral triangle was 16.05, and if each of these values is 16.05, the perimeter is going to be 16.05 times 3, which is 48.15. The highest value that we can think of that would round it down to 16.1, if it was to the nearest millimeter, would be 16.15. Okay, because remember your upper bound is never equal to upper bound. The correct answer would actually be 16.149999, etc. But we'll take it as 16.15, and we just multiply that by 3, and it's 48.45. So lower bound perimeter, upper bound perimeter. Okay. Number 8, solve the inequality. Okay, so we're just going to imagine that this is the same as what we do with an equal sign. But remember, if you times and multiply by a negative number, the sign will swap around. So let's solve for x. Since we've got more x's on this side, I'm going to take the 3x to the right hand side first. So we'll say 3x minus 1 is less than or equal to 11x plus 2. We'll take the 3x to the right. It's going to become negative 1 is less than or equal to 11x minus 3x is 8x plus 2. We could take the 2 to the left hand side, and that's going to become negative 1 minus 2 is less than or equal to 8x. Negative 3 is less than or equal to 8x, and divide by 8 to get x by itself, and that is our answer. So just remember, it's basically the same as solving an equation, but you just change the sign around if you divide or multiply by a negative number. Cool. Number 3. Pedro and Eva do their homework. Pedro takes 84 minutes to do his homework. The ratio of Pedro's time to Eva's time is a 7:6 ratio. Work out the number of minutes Eva takes to do her homework. So it says Pedro takes 84 minutes to do his homework. Okay, so basically what we can do is, if Pedro to Eva is in the ratio of 7:6, and Pedro's minutes is 84, and we're trying to find out what Eva's minutes are, we can basically see what the ratio is between these. So to go from 7:6, okay, 7:6, you've got to multiply by 6/7. Okay, so you can multiply by 6/7 with 7, because it'll cancel, will give you 6. So this is like the scale factor between the ratio here. So to go from Pedro's time to Eva's time, you just multiply as well, 6/7. So 84 times 6 divided by 7 is 72. So remember, I'm assuming that you know a little bit about this work that we're doing, so we're not going to go into explaining too much. This is just for your practice. I hope you feel okay with the work though at the moment. So after school, Maria cycled to a friend's home. This took 9 minutes, which is 36% of the time Maria takes to walk to a friend's home. Calculate the time Maria takes to walk to a friend's home. So let's make an equation. 36% could be written as 0.36. It's 36% of, which is another word for saying times, the time Maria takes to walk home. Let's say that's M. M represents the time Maria takes to walk home. So 36% of this time is 9 minutes. Gives you 9. So, if we want to find out how much time it takes Maria to walk to her friend's home, we make M the subject, or by itself. So 0.36 times M. To get M by itself, you just divide by 0.36 aside, because this is the same as this. So M is equal to 9 over 0.36. Which gives us 25. Okay, number 9. Solve the equation f of x is equal to 0. X squared plus x minus 3 equals 0. Show your work and give your answers correct at 2 decimal places. So this is the hint that we have to use the quadratic formula, where it's in the form ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So we have over here our equation. They want us to use the quadratic formula to find out what x is, and so we can just find out what a, b, c is from over here. So whenever there's a number not mentioned in front of the x's, you've got to assume it's 1. So a in this case is 1, b is 1, and c is negative 3. So now we just use the formula. So negative b, so we negative 1 plus minus the square root of b squared, which is going to be 1 squared, minus 4 times a times c, all over 2 times a, which is 2 times 1, which is negative 1 plus minus the square root of 1 plus 12 over 2. So we're going to get two answers because of this plus and minus over here. So we're going to do this first time with the plus. So negative 1 plus the square root of 13 over 2. So negative 1 plus the square root of 13 divided by 2 is 1.30. And then we're going to do the same thing but with a minus. So negative 1 minus the square root of 13 divided by 2 is negative 2.30. And those are our answers. Find g of the inverse of g of x. So g of x is equal to 2x plus 7. Now remember, g of x is another way of saying y. It's just a different notation. So when you get an inverse, you swap x and y, and then you make y the subject. Okay, so in this case we swap x and y around, so it's going to be x is equal to 2y plus 7, make y the subject, x minus 7 is equal to 2y, and that's our inverse. Sorry, not f, but g. So the inverse g is equal to x minus 7 over 2. Find x when h of x is equal to 0.25. H of x is 2 to the power of x. So you see, h of x is equal to 0.25. So h of x is 2 to the x. We make it equal to 0.25. And 0.25 is the same as saying 1 over 4. And according to indice laws, 4 is 2 squared. If we have 1 over a to the power of negative 1, that's the same as saying a. Or if you have a to the negative 1, that's the same as saying 1 over a. So these are indice laws. So what we have over here is actually 2 to the x is equal to 1 over 2 to the negative 2. Yeah, sorry, to the positive 2. But we make this exponent or number 2 squared come to the top by making a negative. You see what we have over here, we've got a to the 1 in our equation. That's this format over here. Let me just write it out better for you. What we have here is over here. To make this get out of the denominator, you just make the exponent negative. So it's going to be 2 to the negative 2. So we can see it's the same basis, so the exponents must be equal. So x must be equal to negative 2. And last one, h of h3. h of h3. And you're going to find it to correct to 4 significant figures. So h of x is equal to 2 to the x. So what we're going to do is we're going to work from the right. We're going to find out what h of 3 is, and then substitute into h. Find out what that value is, and then substitute into h again. So let's start from the right. What is h of 3? Well, if h of x is equal to 2 to the x, and h of 3 is equal to 2 to the 3, which is equal to 8. So h of 3 is actually the same as an h of 8. h to the 3 is equal to 8, as we saw over here. So what is h of 8? h of 8 is going to be 2 to the 8, and that is pretty big. It's pretty big. So have a look at something quickly. Okay, cool. So I just had to check the memo because it looked a bit big, but this is actually right. So h of the 8 is 2 to the 8. So this part of your h to the 8 is actually equal to h of 2 to the 8. And h of x, remember, is 2 to the x. So h of 2 to the 8 is 2 to the power of 2 to the 8, which is to 4 significant figures, is 1.15. Just want to check, I don't want to get this wrong for you guys. Cool, 1.158 times 10 to the 77. And that's it. Okay, cool. So that's the end of this video. Please let me know if you have any questions. Remember, I will be able to post anything that you need help with, so please let me know if there's anything confusing. Thanks.